Hey you guys, it's Jet888. This might be a weird way to do a video, but I'm having a hard time getting anything on. So anyhow, I wanted to show you this. This is Kara Koonsman, Senior Project Lead for Strategic Foresight for the Center for Space Policy and Strategy at Aerospace. Now I want to show you a document. She's part of a PDF document that I saw. So Lead Futurist Strategic Foresight Center for Space Policy and Strategy. I just thought that plus that symbol right there looked really familiar. This is for the Moderna COVID vaccine as an operating system. Kara Koonsman is part of this Global Futures report. I'll leave you the link to this, but notice the Phoenix. This is a June 2020 Air Force Warfighting Integration Capability. That's AFWIC, Strategic Foresight and Futures Branch. Now, she goes on to talk and says that they are a nonprofit organization. This guy interviewed her. Notice that 666 sign he just flashed? Notice the guitars in the background, all the string instruments there. Now here he's talking about Kara Koonsman, Senior Project Lead for Strategic Foresight for the Center of Space Policy and Strategy at Aerospace. And here she is with the guitars. There she is. Sorry, I'm having to skip a little bit. Notice the wires leading up to this Rockstars podcast. Notice the clouds. Notice the symbols, that C and the C. He keeps flashing this 666 sign. I think that's funny. So that's who's interviewing her, Christian Mulroth. So in this strategic document here, there is Kara Koonsman, Lead Futurist, the future of geopolitical competition in space. Now, I don't get what that has to do with this pandemic going on, but they're definitely tying it in, which relies on all three. They're trying so hard to make the COVID their reason for everything, for shutting down everything. But we are living far from equilibrium system. Talk about novel. Anyhow, if you can read this, it would be helpful. It says here, we are living far from equilibrium system when novel and even catastrophic change are most likely. However, in every alternative future, no matter how severe or unexpected, there are always winners and losers. The organization's best positioned to seize and incorporate the exploits of the new order will be those with the capability to perceive, learn, and adapt, even when the signals from tomorrow may seem utterly ridiculous. That's an understatement. Anyhow, notice they've got this, the little phoenix-looking bird here. These are also people involved. And this comes from Washington, D.C. Now, in this interview, Kara, she says, once upon a time. And once upon a time, the anagram is omnipotent UA. Once upon a time is contain EU poem. There's a plumbers union pipe fitters. Remember, we've been talking about piping, right? So it's fun. I went to look at the UA for the pipe fitting, and here's this guy. The UA is represented hard-working, hard-skilled people, blah, 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 piping and pipe fitting industry. And this guy, Union of Plumbers, Fitters, Welders, Mark McManus is Mark Scum Man, which we're all going to get the mark coming up here. It's kind of funny because I went to look at UA and Under Armour Inc. came up. That's 17 is NWO if you spell it out. And notice the 66 there. And also Under Armour and everything that's going on right now with the gun stuff. They're trying to take our guns away. They're trying to Under Armour us. Here you got an Under Armour 2 for $40 sport mask. That could be Port's mask, and we saw everything that happened with the ship lately. I don't know if you guys can hear this or not. I'm going to see if you can. Let's see. Hang on.
Come on, pig.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that. I'll have to see. But I was wondering if the Suez Canal that's going on with the whole ship cargo thing now that it's released, the Suez Canal, look at the number 102. Does that remind you at all of the 201 event? So in Gematria, Suez Canal also means Order of the Phoenix, which I showed you earlier with that Kara. And then see the satanic ritual sacrifice, Father Ray, child snuff film, false prophet, Mark the Beast, but Order of the Phoenix. One of the anagrams for Suez Canal can also be Unlaces AZ, which could be Arizona, which there is a Phoenix, Arizona, and there's your Phoenix with your star, the 5-pointed star. Here is Adapt or Die, and Adapted or Die's anagram is Radiated Op. And I'm just looking at some of the verbiage that they used here. Let's look at the national security futures. It comes down here, and natural security futures product is NFA. Notice the swishy thing logo there, and NFA can also equal fan. And we saw a lot of fans at the Super Bowl. There's Tom Brady. There's his number, 12 equals DEC. Here are some of the fans in the stadium there. And if you look, these little kids, they've got TB, which is Tom Brady, and Rays. And TB Rays equal 102, which is also Suez Canal. Suez. So look at this, and the play on words, Suez, and he's calling the pigs, it says Bond Trough, but look at the pigs have a black and white little handkerchief going on there. But do you think that this is laying out for just a play on words? Suez is calling pigs, and you got the Suez Canal, Order of the Phoenix. You got shirts like this saying calling cops pigs is an insult to pigs. Pig calling by Ed Gamble. So you got the pig calling, you got this under calling pigs, how to amplify vocals, harmony, and then you've got this Pig Trail Nations tweet, and they're in stadium, like a stadium there, like a bunch of fans. And you got this guy under the pig calling thing, fair hog calling contest goes death me. If we look more at the anagrams of Suez Canal, it's Unlaces AZ, and AZ as in the Phoenix Project. AZ in Gematria means artificial intelligence, that's AI. It also means California millions dead. It also had the word, TU. So TU or UT was the Gematria to Suez Canal. And when I looked at UT, I saw a lot of things that looked like these. So I got the longhorn look. I've got a lot of these obelisk kind of look. It was just everywhere you went. It looked like that. Oh, and look at that. So there's crime scene, that's about the shooting. But it seemed like that clock tower is one of their main things that they want you to look at. When looking at these people, the fans in the bleachers, the TB Rays equals 102, which we just saw equaled the Suez Canal. And when we look at that, TB also equals ham and died. And ham is like Suez, like for pigs. And at that Super Bowl, the 55, we have the Omega, which means the end. See the horseshoe, upside down horseshoe. If you turn it around, it's Omega. And look what they're all pointing to. See that? Looks like that obelisk. And there you get the Super Bowl. See that little obelisk thing? So we see this. And the 55, by the way, equals AI-DNA, and A Caliph, as in Capitol Hill, is till A Caliph. But anyhow, there's their Super Bowl thing. You move over, you've got the same kind of look there, and that's the Iliad. The Iliad by Homer. Remember Troy? Here, looking at one of the coverages of DW's coverage on the cargo, the Evergreen, which it wasn't called the Evergreen, but look at that. So free trap, DW equals code or gas, and the 515 equals Babylon. 515 was how long they chose to make their video, and when he said it takes weeks, weeks equal weakest EK. So here's 3 weeks. And there's Jesus, which Zeus, spelled backwards, is Suez, the Suez Canal, right? S-U-E-Z. Same numbers. Sorry, you can't see that, but same numbers. 3 weeks is also Royal Society. And we see a lot of the word raise in here. That when this guy on DW was talking about, he said take weeks. It would take weeks. So remember, Zeus is Suez Canal backwards. And 3 weeks, 3, that's THRE with 3 E's, is the alpha. Mescaline, which I wonder if that's part of a, almost like an MK program. Gates, life and death, offering. In other words, ships, SSHPI, SS is the black uniformed elite, political soldiers, you can read the rest, protective echelon. It says SS became a virtual state within a state in Germany there. Final solution. When you talk about final solution, and you also see in the word ships is the word pi. So pi is FEMA, behead, fame, and that's me, fos, like fossilatido, which that's a whole nother story. Pi there is gamma, but pi, the mathematical, there is no solution, and that's the symbol for pi right there. Oh, and I think you can get that by hitting your Alt key and 966. Now he mentioned, and notice in the background here, I wondered if that was like a P backwards and an I. But he said that there was 150 ships waiting, that they were blocked behind him, that other cargo ship. 150 is PI and FEMA. Mecca, beheaded, and Abbas. Abba is like father. And pandemia, which pandemia is, this anagram is AI pandem. Like pandemic. This is also a Microsoft Flight Simulator that it showed. It says Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 is savage. You look at the word savage, it's gas ave. Drones are gas aves. And it talked about massive cargo ship Ever Given. That's the name, Ever Given. Like the Ever Living. They mentioned the TikTok there. Also, what I thought was really weird, with the Suez Canal thing right next to it, was they showed these little room pods there. See, they're trying to get people used to being enclosed in small little spaces. But back to that word, the take weeks, could be 3 E's there, 3E, and then TK cause. So remember that. Take weeks. They kept saying that. See, take weeks. E, there's 3 E's, TK cause. So looking at the numerology and the words and everything of 3E, it equals the alpha in gematria, and 3E, it can also be looked at as E3. When I looked at E3, and I've showed this before in a video, but I couldn't upload it for some reason, but look at the sign, the symbol on that radar plane. And this comes from globalsecurity.org, Military Systems Aircraft E3. And it is U.S. Air Force. And you've got the little 3 dashes there. Looks like a 3E. Now this plane, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. It's E3 century, AWACS. Oh, you look at this, that's pi equals a cos. Do you see that AWACS could be a cos, and it could be a cause, and like murder is the crow, what they call crow flock. And here's your alt 8966, that's the pi sign. And here, looking at pi, the circle, it says here, the Greek letter pi, set there, it says it represents no solution. So maybe that's what they mean when they are always using the word omega, that's the end. And for some reason, they always want to show us the symbol with the 5-pointed flag. And the U.S. Air Force is Fry's U arco, and arco is with a bow, a note in string instrument. Like in the Super Bowl, how they had the string instruments, they had the violins with the bows. Remember, Super Bowl, there's Super Bow L, or bow pulsar if you look at the anagram. And also looking at this 3E from the Global Security Military, the U.S. Air Force, this is also, they had clearance jobs. They had that logo. Looking here again, that could look like a Q. If you put it up that way, it could look like a Q. It could also look like the little pitchfork there. The same little pitchfork we saw when we looked at Kara Coon's man. The same little pitchfork thing we got when you look at Moderna's page. So here's the Health and Human Services logo. Look, notice the 3 stripes there. Notice the crow for the caw. That could be a crow. And caw, a cause is murder. Remember this Air Force there, AWACS. The anagram is a cause. And so when you look at the Super Bowl and the football, the NFL, there's their numbers, 66. Agenda, King Biblical, E-God, Diablo, Kabbalah, Ram, IT, Con, which we saw a lot with the Q, was always talking about popcorn, and popcorn is con prop. And it's also cell. I'm wondering if that you mean cell phone. It also means fake, fake, fake. And talking about string instruments, there's your violin, guitar thing. That's a Toulouse-Lautrec, by the way, which I covered in my video that they wouldn't let me show. But this we also talked about, saw this in his little book there. Sorry, I'm skipping, I'll slow down. The Gates book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. How to avoid a climate disaster. Owl victims are a hood satiated, or hood victims are a owl satiated. Take your pick. This goes to Leon Spain. What is that? So alpha and omega. Anyhow, I looked at some anagram there, sorry. But Gates notes equal stage tones and violins that were at the Super Bowl. There's the cue in the background. Violins, the U.S. Air Force Fry's U arco. Arco is a note in string instrument music, instruments in the violin family to be played with the bow. Like Super Bowl or bow pulsar. But this, Gates gets pied, 1998, we're going way back. Remember this? So pi, and pi all have the same sound, different meanings. And could that Gates get pied, as in Pied Piper? Is that what they meant by stage tones, a piper? And this story about Mr. Stage, it was originally published by the Daily News on February 5th, which I found is interesting because this date is February 3rd. And notice 12 p.m. Remember Tom Brady's number, 12? And the story written by George Manis. The anagram for George Manis is G anon emerges, a germ gene son, which we know whose son he was, and CG germ anon, G and snare geome, and those are some of the numbers for G. So there's your fa, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now an anagram for George Manis is gog and snare me. Here's the Urban Dictionary. The term gog uses a reference to any person that has any type of glasses or visual gear. He's got glasses and visual gear. Would you call a window? You can look out a window. Would that be a visual gear? Also, it talks about their eyes wear the father of Shimi, the name of the leader of the hostile party, and it's described in Ezekiel 38 and 39. And so guess what happened when I go and look at Ezekiel 38, 39? And this is the last thing I'm going to show you for right now, but we're here in Ezekiel. Here it talks about the appearance of beings, and that could be begins, as in AIpha. And look at that, a will within a will. That's weird. So I'm here at Ezekiel 38, and look at this. They're proclaimed son of Adam and tell Gog. They have the word Gog in here. Me, when I have distinguished myself upon you, Gog, in their sight. Anyhow, Gog is all through here. And interesting in here too, this says, note, chapter 39, 16, in Hebrew, Hamona means mob town. Would that be like Capitol Hill? And they do talk about hills here all the time. I will then proclaim against my sword on all my hills, like Capitol Hill is Til a Khalif. They're talking about the disease here. Interesting. It also mentions here, I tend to magnify. That has something to do also with mirror, mirror on the wall. You know how they use the mirrors to magnify stuff now? Part of the weather weapon system they're using. And let's see, they're probably talking about a lot of other things in here that could go on forever. And also remember the violin that was in that Toulouse-Lautrec painting. That could also be looked at anagram-wise, IV, lion. And we're going back to the ship, the Iliad, the Song of the Lion. Takes me here also to Nelson Rockefeller, RL, so that real life, Leon, lion, conifer, elks. I mean, this is what I'm working with here, all this information. And we just hit a teeny snippet of it. So I'm going to go right here. I want to show you something from the Bible still. Remember that mentioned the mirrors? Man in the mirror. It's minima, throne, RR. That's like railroad. That's the white swan. That's different than our opposite, the black swan. That made me want to look at George R.R. Martin, because he was the one that did the Game of Thrones. And talk about Game of Thrones now with this whole crown thing going on. So talk about thrones also. About clouds. That also came up with the thunder cloud is D.D. Hurt Council, and that's D.C. UU LSD throne, and D.D., at least the ticker for this in the stock market is DuPont, and Y equals 400 equals pi. And here's the thunderclouds that we had a while ago, which is D.D. Hurt Council, 100 locust. I'm talking about locust and all that. Remember Judah that's spelled kind of differently, but in Genesis 37:3, it talks about long sleeves. I thought that was kind of weird, so I looked at long sleeves. One of the words was see clouds in the sky, and also long sleeves was build back better. Kobe Bryant, build back better. Like, we haven't heard that before during this whole Corona thing. Yeah, and this whole thing. So there's your basic Troy. Here's your obelisk looking thing in this movie on the Iliad, 722. And when you look at that, pi approximation day is 722. There's 314. And those thunderclouds, there's your DuPont. There's their ticker. And it's funny because it was 77.6 and then 22. And that long sleeves is also Wall Street, which anagram is L West Alert, alert the West. And Wall Street is T Slew. So Wall Street can be rattle, slew, and it's also meaning it says army, host, or throng, so it has several homographs. But there's a slew rate, change of voltage or current, or other electrical quantity per unit of time. Talk about flatten the curve there, huh? So here's your slew rate, rattle, the slew, in electronics it says. And here's your Wall Street. There's rattle, slew. See the anagram? And it's funny because Seattle slew was number 5, which is V, which is MAGA. And V there also equals Seattle disaster. Who do we know in Seattle? Who's a disaster? That's right. And also that Seattle disaster, also the V also equals MAGA. And you look at M, AGA. AGA is American Gas Association. It's closely monitoring the evolving coronavirus. Of course you are. American Luxury Ranges. And that American Luxury Ranges, the anagram is RX numerical ray guns. And here AGA talks about gentle cooking zones, ovens, and altogether gentler process. So like we can't even tell it's happening. Yep. So this American Luxury Ranges is also, the anagram can be Lager Earn Crimes Yon X, the Lager group, and it means to circle the wagons. Right partners are the best defense. But Yuan here is Chinese currency, and China, remember, is chain. And there's one JIAO. So if you look at the AI, which is what they're going to be using on us, and then you take out the OJ in yuan there, OJ is also 25, which so is pi, and FEMA. See, 25 is pi. And Mecca, which remember where the ships were, the Suez Canal. And remember the ship we saw, the E3, or is it 3E? E3, hear that? It equals 3E equals gates, also life and death, and cops. But I don't know why they're not letting me get my videos out. But I'm going to be leaving you guys this information that you can look for yourself. And remember, when you guys look through their words that they show us, like let's say in this article, in this PDF, they use the word design. That could be die, SGN. You look at SGN, and it's carnage, green, danger, garden, pencil. So you have to look for the constant checkpoints and the references, because that's like the daily pass right there. But look at the similar colors, and here the blue and yellow make green. It just kind of doesn't stop. Mommy tricks. Keep looking. Don't just take everything on face value. All right, for now, bye guys.